So, part two of Bacanora Sonora box. We're gonna go into the ensamble of Bacanora and Lechuguilla. Lechuguilla, joven.
Lechuguilla,
Not
not to
Lech.
be confused with lechuga.
But I think that actually some people claim, and probably it's a huge lie, but
The agave looks like a lechuga, the stalk of a lettuce.
yes, and a lot of the information we get in the mezcal agave spirits world is definitely gossip.
Not consistent.
Yeah,
It's not
well,
consistent.
like gossip.
Yeah,
I think one of the definitions of gossip,
hearsay.
it gets amplified, it changes, it
Yeah.
morphs with time. So I think that's why Lechuguilla it's received its name, and it's also very interesting. I mean, if we can start from that, it's really hard to pinpoint what exactly is Lechuguilla. In my
Yes.
mind, it's a little bit like Karwinskis before we had all of these different names.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure there was a time where all Karwinskis were just squishes.
Mm-hmm.
Now we talk about barriles, tobasiches, madrecuiches, squishes, candelillos from Puebla. But I'm pretty sure I remember this, there was a time where you just talked about quiche
Yeah.
and you didn't think about all the differences.
Yeah. It reminds me of the papalome, papalometal, tobala,
Papalote, yeah.
papalote, and the Mixteca around Guerrero, Puebla, and Oaxaca. A lot of crossbreeding happening where a plant in one field doesn't exactly look like a plant up in the mountain.
Absolutely. And here, if I am not mistaken, a lot of what it's called lechuguilla is bovicornuta and many other scientific species. But honestly, like even when you talk with producers, they're like, well, we just went up in the mountains and
Yeah.
we got the best prime agaves that we found. Are scientifically related to what you guys understand as lechuguilla? But we call this lechuguilla.
And I've noticed a little bit of a trend that Oaxaca has fallen more into categorizing and subcategorizing agave species more so than the North has. I expect in the next 5 or 10 years, a lot more producers in the North are going to be classifying Salmianas into subcategories, Lechuguillas into subcategories, and so forth.
Absolutely. And I think though that if there's something that I find incredibly interesting about Lechuguilla is that you're always talking about the definition of wild, right? Like
Yes.
from the flavors to the stories that they tell you about how they got these agaves, you're
Hmm.
always imagining somebody fighting with the mountain,
Yeah. Fighting with the mountain. I like that.
which is the absolute contrast to Bacanora,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Because we went to the Bacanora
Cultivated,
farms.
controlled, overseen. Lechuga's wild. It's there. It's been there forever. And yeah.
So the fact that we have in front of us an ensemble of
Yeah.
these, if we can say, very different worlds,
Opposing forces.
then it makes sense.
And the character really reflects this. Because when we take a sip of this one, confusion is what comes to mind a little bit. It is like this controlled Bacanora that's mixed with this wild Lechuga, and I think the palate experiences that exact storyline.
Absolutely. And it's so interesting because almost, what I think about this. I don't know if you were a kid you ever saw or if you were afraid of this, but I remember I used to go to a beach with my parents where the seawater will clash with a river or a lagoon,
I like this
and
visual.
everybody will tell you don't get close to that clash because it's dangerous. There's like
Yeah,
forces in there that are gonna
that's why
suck
we
you
like it.
down.
That's why we like it.
Hell yes. So if you are interested in these mysterious forces that you can find in this ensemble, how many bottles are there going to be available in the US of A, joven?
The Lechuguilla Bacanora expression has 24 bottles left as of roughly August 1st. And yeah, again, there's no plans to bring in another batch. So there'll literally be 24 people or less in the US that have this bottle.
Hell yes. And well, this was produced by Ramon Miranda, which very interestingly doesn't refer himself as a vinatero. He thinks of himself as an engineer. And I think that is critical because usually you will think that somebody with that profile will do something that is very tamed, very rounded, very
Controlled.
clean. And once you meet Ramon Miranda, you realize He's a cowboy.
He's got a wild side.
Yes, absolutely.
He's got a wild side. And while we're there, we didn't find ensambles of Lechuguilla and Bacanora. In fact, I think we asked him to special produce this batch for us. Is that correct?
We tried it.
We did try
We
it.
did
Okay.
try it at 8 a.m.
Yep.
once we arrived to
in the shop.
to his shop. So maybe we were not in our sane mind, but I remember at least that it really made an impression on me. And I had never seen an ensemble of these two forces, maybe because it's really hard. He even mentioned, and this is amazing, it's a video that it hasn't even been published. It's going to be published tomorrow. But he was saying that when he's cooking the bacanora and the lechuguilla, he has this special way of making like a lasagna because the bacanora is rougher and it actually protects the lechuguilla, which is super soft.
To it?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Because he says that he cooks only lechuguilla, it sort of melts. That is very soft and he loses a lot of the honeys. So he makes this lasagna for the horno and makes a great, like the bacanora helps the lechuguilla somehow.
So if you want to try lasagna mezcal,
A
lot of lasagna notes in this. I also noticed he talks a lot about the almost soap-like foam of lechuguilla. And when he told us about this, of course, we're reminded of a jabali from Oaxaca. I never knew there was any other agave that created this foam in the fermentation until Ramon educated us on that.
Absolutely. So I'm starting to say that these are like the pet nuts of mezcal.
The pet nuts.
Yeah, like naturally foamy, like the bubbly ones. I mean, I know it doesn't translate into the final product.
Sure.
But I think it's a fancy way to explain why you like these agaves.
Yeah.
I like the bubbly stuff.
I think the foaminess of the fermentation is symbolic of the lechuguilla and what it represents.
Absolutely. Well, sir, it's been a pleasure sharing a few sips with you. Good morning.